Welcome to the Practical Consciousness Podcast with James and Lisa, where we help you tap into your highest selves in everyday life. Hi, welcome to Practical Consciousness, the podcast. I'm James.
And I'm Lisa.
Today, we are going to talk about how to bring joy into our world. Even if regardless of the circumstance. If you're dealing with adversity or you're dealing with stressful times, then these all still apply, right?
Yes. And I was thinking along the lines of what we've talked about before, as far as what you focus on is what you get more of in your life.
Yeah, for sure.
And so focus on joy and you can cultivate more joy in your life.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, it's the old law of attraction. You get what you focus on, like begets like. Yeah.
Right.
Good point. Okay. So we'll start with you, Lisa. Let's talk about joy. Well, actually, I had a question for you because I'm really curious about this. In your mind, what's the difference between joy and happiness? And can you get one without the other?
So I feel like joy is something that you experience when you're when you're in a mindful place, when you're in the present moment and you're experiencing, just the bliss of being present. Like maybe you're laughing, maybe it's laughter or something like that.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. So what's happiness?
And then, but happiness, well, you're the happiness expert.
I don't think I'm a happiness expert.
Well, you've done workshops on happiness.
This is true.
Happiness is more of an overall, just kind of overall theme in your life, I guess. I don't know. Or are they the same?
Well, that's kind of why I asked you the question. From a happiness is from a clinical sense or research sense, like neuroscience type stuff. It's a state of overall well-being. But it's definitely a mindset. It's basically you're feeling like an overall state of well-being. And then in my mind, which, I'm such an authority, not, is joy is more of an emotion to me. Happiness is more of a state of mind and joy is more of an emotion.
Yeah, I think, that's kind of what I was thinking. Like joy is more in the moment. You're being present.
It's a feeling.
You're enjoying. Yeah. You're like laughing about something, or you're, I don't know, creating something, being creative, something like that. And then happiness is more of like overall over time. Like it's like an overall umbrella in your life.
So then by that definition, you can have joy without happiness, or you could have happiness without joy.
Yeah, I would think so. Like joy is more like joyful moments or.
Okay. Just clarifying.
That's kind of the way I look at it. Yeah. I think everybody probably has.
The only reason I asked to clarify that was as we bring this stuff forward to the listeners, I think it's important that they know that we're talking about techniques in which to bring a bliss into a moment.
Yeah.
Versus, like changing your mindset over time.
Yeah.
If you're joyful enough, it probably does change your mindset over time and makes you happy.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry about that little tangent. So what, let's start with you. What's ways in which we can bring joy into our listeners' world, present moment?
So my number one is laughing. So I just like watching silly videos on the internet, or watching a funny movie, or For me, it's getting silly with my daughter. We just, I don't know, something strikes the funny bone and we just giggle. That
Yeah.
brings a lot of joy.
And isn't it funny how laughter is such a contagious thing?
Yes.
I mean,
Yes.
I guess most emotions can be contagious, but that one definitely is.
Yeah. Well, there can be laughter in moments where if you're not present, then that contagiousness isn't really there. It's like people fake laughing. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe you're not, maybe it's not as genuine.
Right.
Whereas if you're really present and in the moment, that's when those little silly giggle fests happen, at least in my experience.
Yeah. Yeah. My big one, probably my most, I'm, I think I've talked about this before in the podcast, but probably my biggest moments of joy is when I can slow down and just, um, I call it like kind of ponder, but um, it, it it can be a walk in nature. It can be
Yeah.
watching bugs or whatever. But it's this like it's like just really just taking in like I guess it's contemplation. Just taking in something like for what it is and just letting it be whatever it is and just
Yeah.
the subtleties. I guess it's it's um it's kind of lingering, right? It's just when I just linger on something for a moment, and I don't know what it is about that, but it can just it like lights up my heart. My heart just like starts glowing, and I just
Yeah.
feel it just feels. I don't know if it's joy per se, but it's lightness, it's ease,
Right.
yeah, it's peace maybe, I guess.
But you find joy in that. You find joy in, it sounds like you find joy in peaceful moments.
In the simple things, yeah, it's the
Yeah.
simplicity of things. It's
Yeah.
um yeah. Another one, it, it, I, I don't know why too, but I get a lot of joy just be like playing a board game with my family, like just you know uh, my family kind of is a little bit competitive, so sometimes sometimes the joy can be a little lost in the competition,
Mhm.
but I'm really good at like blowing the game to bring the joy back. So
Yeah.
I'm
Been
probably
there. I've done that.
I'm probably the least competitive one. I'm very competitive, but I'm willing to lose to just have it
Have fun.
fun. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and that's the same for us. We like playing games together or doing a puzzle together or things like that.
Yeah.
There's a lot of joy in that. Yeah. Nowadays, there's been this thing going on where people put teddy bears in their windows for like
Mm.
kids to go out and see them in the window and spot them, and um, I don't know, they're just getting a lot of joy out of finding them. We were out walking the other day and I heard this kid shouting, "There's another teddy bear." Now, there's another thing going on in our neighborhood where someone has painted a bunch of rocks about this big
Mm-hmm.
and
Hides them.
placed them all around the edge of the sidewalk, in the park, all around the park, and I heard people shouting too, "There's another rock."
Yeah.
Yeah, they're finding these
That was
painted
like a big
rocks all
movement
around.
like a year ago, right? Where people would find rocks and then post them on Facebook.
Yeah, well, this has been recent too. I don't know. It reminded me of geocaching. Have you done that?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Okay, so we did it as a family when my daughter was younger, and they had these little things called travel bugs. You could create one if you wanted, which we did, but also you just find them in a geocache, and then so the geocaches are, you get the coordinates for this spot and you try to find it with your GPS. Right, back in the day it was like a GPS. Now you can use your phones and you find it, and then usually there's like treasures in there or there's just a log where you can sign it. But these travel bugs,
Yeah.
you could take it, and then the next time you go to another geocache you place it somewhere else, and
Mm,
then you track them. you track it online. And so we had one that we created and we watched it travel around the United States.
Yeah.
We had one that we found that went around the world. It was in different countries.
Wow.
So yeah, so it's a lot of fun. That wasn't the one we created, but there was one we were following that we had found that was like that.
Yeah, I think that that's a really great example of making connection, how much joy we can make, just like sharing an experience with someone else.
Yeah.
And people are creative, right? You see a lot of social media kind of campaigns like this where people come up with, I don't know, just crazy ideas about, it could be the bears, it could be painting the rocks,
Mhm.
but it kind of takes off and it becomes its own like little, what's the word I'm looking for? Like a little adventure, a little shared
Yeah.
experience with other people.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it could travel around the world. Another thing I've heard of lately is people are putting their Christmas lights up outside for people to enjoy.
Oh.
I've seen people post it on Facebook.
Just because
They're
everybody's at home. Everybody's at home right now,
Yes,
right? So it's a way to
right. So they're
kind of,
just putting their Christmas lights out for everyone to enjoy.
wow,
Isn't that interesting?
that's interesting.
Yeah, it was like, oh, that's a great idea. Yeah.
What about ways to, well, I'll just share this. So I don't, if any of our listeners have read the book Man's Search for Meaning, it's about a doctor in Auschwitz who's well, I mean, he's in Auschwitz, so it's not he's not experiencing the greatest time in his life, right? And
Right.
there's some pretty ugly things that people do in those circumstances for sure, but he focuses on the human connection, the humanity that is in all of us. And this like we talk about 100% spiritual and 100% human. And so the little sort of small ways, even like, for example, the like when they were, I think, getting ready to go to bed or something or whatever it was, obviously there were very accomplished musicians and singers and all those kind of people there, and so they would just start singing, and they would secretly take like what do you call it, uh
So
when you request, my goodness, that was painful.
they take requests.
They secretly they would pass requests, and then they would sing until a guard would come break them up or whatever. But
so not everybody probably knows what Auschwitz is. It was a prison camp during the Holocaust.
yes, that's a good
Right.
point.
Not everybody maybe even not know. So yeah, so they had to be quiet and they had to be secretive, and they probably got in trouble if they were being joyful, maybe.
Yeah. But I guess my point is that's an example of, deep inside of all of us is really this desire for that lightness and that joy and that bliss.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
even in the darkest of times, that light comes to the surface. And when it comes to the surface, it lights up everyone. They have that in that moment, they have experience of joy. And you see it all the time. I mean, you see it like, during the COVID-19 crisis thing, people would come and they would stand in their windows and they would sing, and everybody would join in. And then pretty soon you have this moment, right? This moment of joy.
Yeah. Yeah. I've been seeing a lot of videos of that in other places like Italy and places where that's been happening. Where that would be a regular thing, became a regular thing, like every evening at like 6 p.m. or whatever, people go out on their balcony and they would sing songs. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I've been in situations before where things are tense and someone says something funny or like points something kind of ironic or funny about the situation, and lightens everybody up a little
Yeah,
bit.
yeah. I've seen the same thing. It's like it's everyone's uncomfortable or everything's tense, whatever. Someone will crack a little
Yeah.
joke or something, or say something ironic about it. And oh,
Yeah.
it just kind of lightens up. It cracks
Yeah.
up a little bit. Yeah. Um,
Yeah.
it. I have a story when I was in basic training in the Army, and I think it's always about standing in line and attention for some reason or another. I think it was for shots, and we're all standing and it's basic training, and drill sergeants are screaming at you, and it's not the most pleasant experience
I
you would ever
can't
have.
imagine.
And this one guy, he so it's I don't know, it's probably like 500-600 people, and we're all in line and we're moving. I think we're getting shots, and the guy's basically like, I can't remember what he said. He said something really sarcastic, like just something like, I think it was, I don't remember what it was, but it was something like, well, this is not my definition of fun, or something
Mm-hmm.
in that nature. And
Yeah.
everybody busted. Of course, we all got in trouble, and of course, he had to do push-ups and all that kind of stuff. But to your point, that was, I mean, it was a very, very unpleasant experience. And for that little moment, we all got a little bit of joy out of,
Yeah.
just the irony of the moment, I guess, and
Yeah.
him having the courage to just say something.
Well, and it does seem like when people are in a really super tense environment like that, that they are right there ready for anything to help them get over that. Like they can easily be put into that, that kind of a situation where somebody cracks a joke and then they just laugh because they're right at the edge of, I'm gonna
R-
if I don't ease this tension, I'm gonna go crazy kind of thing. So
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
it's easy to tip people over. Yeah.
Another one that I love to do joy. I love to dance. It's like it's my thing.
That's on my list too. Dance parties. It's fun.
Yeah. And you know what? It's my son. Um, he did this really clever thing where he posted he wi- with he worked at Seattle Pacific University when he was in school, during the summer for the buildings. Like they would have, they would rent the dorms out for like camps and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And so he worked there, and so that staff, he went to the staff for that, and basically they will cut little slivers of them dancing to the same song, and then they put it
Oh,
all
and put
together,
it together.
and
Yeah.
it was just one continuous. It was like one dancing and then the other dancing, the other dancing.
That's
Really
fun.
clever. It was cute. Yeah.
Yeah. I love when people get creative like that and do things like that and then share it. Well, that's kind of the purpose of it, right?
Yeah.
But then share it on social media where everybody can see it and laugh at it and get some
Yeah. I
joy
mean,
from it.
and like Jack Black did a video recently where he's shirtless and he's dancing to some song in cowboy boots, and you're getting all these celebrities that are just dancing to songs, and it's just joyful. I mean, it's just, you laugh
Yeah.
at it, and they're they're not worried about how they look or what
Yeah.
whether they have rhythm, or it doesn't matter. It's
Yeah.
just fun.
People are shedding a lot right now. So a lot, some people are so, have cabin fever so bad they'll do anything just to
Yeah,
kind of like feel a little bit of joy.
exactly. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's kind of our purpose today, was to just, for today's podcast, is just to come in and lighten things up a little bit, and just talk about what lights us up joy wise, what matters to us, and just to focus on joy for a while, just while you're listening to this podcast, you know you're at least listening to something fun and joy, and you're
Yeah.
thinking about joy right now. And that's all we wanted to accomplish today, right?
Yeah. I think people could comment on the Facebook group maybe about their ideas of things that they've been doing to
Yeah.
create some joy.
Yeah. I think
That
that's a
would be
great
fun.
idea. Yeah. Share join the conversation and share. We also wanted to share that coming up on March 20, or not March, on
April. We're
April.
in April. We've
Yeah.
lost a month
We've
because we've
lost a
been
month. Yeah.
hibernating.
On April 21st, we are going to do a 3-day practical consciousness experience where we're going to go a little deeper about some of the concepts we talk about, being 100% spiritual, being 100% human. How's that play out? And we're just going to go deeper into some of the gifts that both you and I have, and we're going to share with our listeners and anybody else that really wants to show up, including our mom and dad if they do. But just really kind of help our listeners tap into that higher consciousness and that spiritual sense. And how do you bring that forward into your daily life? Especially, when you're that left-brained, linear, concrete thinker, how do you start tapping into that spiritual self without it feeling weird or without it seeming, like you're going to be judged for it or whatever it is.
Right. This will be a no judgment environment.
Right. And really kind of give you over this 3-day span some really practical, concrete ways to step into your woo or step into your spiritual self. And start that awakening process or expand that awakening process. Or
we'll give tips that'll help people kind of start to create that awareness so they can repeat the awareness. That's like one of the first steps. You can talk a little bit about some daily practices that you can do that are really going to help with that.
Yep. And just be more of a support element there. And so go to the Practical Consciousness podcast Facebook group, and more details will be there coming soon. And or if you want to check out either of our LinkedIn, Instagram, or Facebook accounts, Lisa Mueller or myself, James Wallace, and we'll have details there as well. And
we can add links.
Just be looking for that. More to come with that. So with that, we will say bye-bye for now, and everybody be joyful.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.